All right, we are back. We are back. We are back. When I left out to try to cut back in, it did not let me back in. And that's some bull fucking shit. Because you leave out, you go back in and say end or resume. Every time I clicked on resume, it kept on canceling YouTube. Jesus.
The only solution, the only real solution I can think of is the personal solution. The solution similar to how Jordan Peterson told us to make your bed. I have a slightly different version of the statement. I say, go to church.
Ooh.
And
Ooh, y'all actually clap for that? Go to church.
See what I mean by go to church?
Go to church. Go to church and do what? Pray the shit away? That shit ain't gonna work. I can't believe they clapped for that. Fucking brainwashed sheep.
Yeah, you should go to church. Definitely go to church. But the larger question is that if we cannot get an answer of who these technologies serve, please know who and what you serve. Do you serve Mammon? Do I serve Moloch? Who do we serve?
But I see where you're going with it. Who do you serve? Because if you ain't serving nobody or yourself, you're going to be serving those damn machines. I understand where you're coming from. But fuck church. Unless you come to the hurricane tonight, trap this church. I'll see y'all Sunday. And ladies, y'all make sure y'all wear y'all Sunday best. Back to the video.
We cannot stop the machine from devouring everything. Then I must become truly human. More human than before. So that we...
Now, you clap on.
So that we can remain at least our life the master of the machine and not the slave of the machine. And we're in the right place because we must become responsible citizens. That's what we're here for. But also responsible parents, responsible teachers, responsible students, for our own sake, but really for the sake of all of us. Since the Industrial Revolution, people increasingly treated education as something like learning a skill so you can get a job. I think you've all realized that those days are over. I say back to the humanities. They will become the most important. Make humans. Become fully human. Become the best human you can be. When we teach our children to dance or to play music or to play sports, most of us aren't doing it so that our children will become professionals. We teach them these skills so they become more human. And now that's what we're going to have to do with everything. If AI pushes us to place memory and skill and knowledge out there, we will have to deliberately foster memory, skill, and knowledge in here.
Inside.
Learn poems, read fairy tales, go camping, grow a garden, be involved in your community, your family, your relationships, and don't forget to pray. This is, of course...
And I'm going to add meditate, because prayer don't work. It's a scientific study that shows that it doesn't. And he should be smart enough to have checked that, but I guess he didn't. Because, you can't battle facts with faith, right? But anyway, I'm going to add meditation. But I got nothing against the Christians, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm cool with four types of Christians. The open-minded, the Gnostic, the conspiracy, and the spiritual.
Existentially obvious, and it might sound a little sappy when I say it, I get it. But I think it's actually technically the solution to the problem we're facing.
No, it is not. At least 70% part of the solution, but the other 30%, you're gonna need to protect it. You got to go back to nature, right? If they're destroying nature, you're gonna have to protect your nature and your reality, right? Like I say, plant a garden and shit. There's laws that we can't plant gardens in our backyard. It got to be real fucking small. It's like there's laws against us collecting rainwater. We want to go back to nature. We got to motherfucking break the law and risk going to fuck jail. So your solution is going to get you locked up. My solution is going to get me locked up and possibly fucking killed because I'm fighting the government. So like at the end of the day, the only solution is revolution. There is no political solution. and we can go back to nature after we done liberating this fucking land. How we go back to nature and the fucking chemtrails is still spraying poison on our shit, or Monsanto was fucking up the crops. How can we go back to motherfucking nature if there's GMOs in the food and fluoride in the water? How can we go back to nature? We got to kill these evil motherfuckers that control these places. That's the solution. But everybody go dance around it. Don't worry. Can't wait till I start blasting.
These technologies are making us dumber. They're making us vassals. This young generation is the first in recorded history that has a lower average IQ than their parents. So I don't think the solution is going to Mars, folks, or even going to Alpha Centauri. And I'm sorry, Eric Weinstein, if you're here. If we send TikTok-addicted AI slop minds to Mars, it won't change a single one of our problems. And it's the same. It's not merging with the machine or having chips in our brain, Elon. None of this will make you virtuous. And what we'll just end up with is very powerful, broken people.
Damn, yep.
Those who have made themselves completely dependent in mind and habit to these technologies will become vassals of the monster. And I really believe that it's only those who have shining souls, who have fostered wisdom and virtue, who have practiced truth and love, they're the ones who will survive and thrive.
Yep, we are the ones that's going to survive and thrive. The ones that got wisdom, the ones that love. Yeah, we're going to survive. Everybody else is going to be caught up in technology, or they're going to be fucking drugged out, or they're going to self-fucking delete. Ain't nobody going to motherfucking time to just stand on this planet, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. Or it's getting worse. That's how you supposed to say it. But fuck this planet.
The incoming AI apocalypse. Personally, communally, and I think even professionally. Whether things work out and AI becomes ubiquitous and is just there to help us, or whether it leads to the wasteland, I think there's still only one solution. Become fully human. The kind of humans we admire from our great stories. The kind of humans who serve more than their greed and their power. And then, if we build, when we build, what we build will be in that image. And when we are faced with the Grail, we'll have the wherewithal to ask the question, whom does the Grail serve? And ultimately, we'll have the presence of mind to ask and answer what I think is the most crucial question of all, which is, whom do I serve? Thank you.
Most capable cognitive tools ever built stopped being something available to everyone and became something a single government could restrict. And that raises a question that most of us aren't asking yet. What happens when intelligence itself becomes a strategic resource? Hey people, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Michael. I have a degree in ancient history, and on this channel, we explore the recurring patterns that shape and shatter civilizations. Let's get into it. A group of researchers just wargamed Europe's next 5 years. The continent is quietly preparing for a future that won't arrive because its institutions keep mistaking a transformation for a passing trend. Silicon Valley now believes it is living through a shift on the scale of the Industrial Revolution, yet most governments are still legislating as though it's a fad. But the question that should unsettle you isn't which side is right, it's why the smartest people alive keep missing the biggest changes in history, while those changes happen right in front of them. In 1903, the president of the Michigan Savings Bank advised Henry Ford's lawyer not to invest in the new automobile company. The horse, he explained, was here to stay. The car was a novelty. The lawyer ignored him, put in around $5,000, and later sold his stake for over $12 million. We tell that story now as a joke, but the banker wasn't stupid. He was looking at the best available evidence and reasoning carefully from it. But that's exactly the problem. He extrapolated the world he knew. In 1903, cars were unreliable, expensive, and rare. Roads were built for hooves, not engines. Fuel was hard to find. Every fact in front of him pointed toward the horse. The future wasn't hidden from him, it simply looked ridiculous. And this is the first thing to understand about how the future gets missed. It almost always looks ridiculous at first. Hold on to that, because in a moment, it's going to stop being about horses and start being about us. London and New York were drowning in horse manure. One widely repeated claim held that London's streets would sit 9 feet deep within 50 years. The math seemed sound, the problem felt permanent, and then, within 2 decades, it evaporated. Not because anyone solved the manure problem, but because the entire system that produced it was replaced. That's the pattern. People rarely fail to solve the problem in front of them. No, they fail to imagine that the whole problem might disappear. But why does this keep happening to people paid to know better? The answer is that institutions are optimization machines. They become extremely good at solving the problems of the world that exists, and that competence rests on assumptions that quietly become invisible, because everyone successful inside the institution shares them. The better the machine runs, the harder it becomes to notice that the problem it was built to solve might be ending. Consider the telephone. In 1876, an internal Western Union memo reportedly dismissed it as an electrical toy. Now, Western Union was no backward company. It was the dominant communications network on Earth, built on the telegraph, staffed by brilliant engineers, and that was the trouble. Their expertise was built around a world about to vanish. Now move forward a century and watch the same machine run again. Kodak actually invented the digital camera. In 1975, an engineer named Stephen Sasson built the first one inside a Kodak lab. But Kodak made its money on film, chemicals and printing. Digital threatened all of it. So Kodak ignored it, but not out of ignorance. No, it ignored digital out of success. Yet the company filed for bankruptcy in 2012. But notice what these stories are not saying. They are not saying those people were fools. No, quite the opposite. They were the most capable people in their fields, trained and promoted for mastering a system that was ending. IBM looked at the personal computer and saw a hobbyist's toy, not a threat to the mainframe business that had made it giant. BlackBerry owned the smartphone in 2007. Governments and entire industries ran on it, and its leadership was reportedly unimpressed by the first iPhone. They were perhaps right about the first iPhone. They were catastrophically wrong about where it was going. Within 5 years, the company that defined the category had been erased by it. So the more successful you become inside a system, the more of yourself you invest in it, and the harder it becomes to picture the system ending. Your competence becomes a kind of cage. But here's where this gets larger. This isn't a quirk of just business. The same machine runs through entire civilizations, and when it does, the stakes aren't a share price, they're civilization itself. In the summer of 1914, the generals of Europe went to war with the maps of the previous one. They had built their doctrines around the attack, studying the campaigns of 1870, when Prussia beat France through rapid decisive offensive. French planning elevated the spirit of the assault, élan, into something close to a war-winning principle. But the tools had changed underneath the doctrine. The machine gun, barbed wire, and quick-firing artillery had handed an enormous advantage to whoever stood still and defended. The evidence had been there to read. Entrenched troops had cut down frontal assaults in the American Civil War 50 years earlier, and the Russo-Japanese War of 1904 had shown it again. But the observations were filed under not important yet. So, in 1914, the armies of Europe walked upright into interlocking machine gun fire and kept doing it for years. On the first day of the Somme, in 1916, the British Army took around 57,000 casualties, almost 20,000 of them dead, in a single day, much of it to men advancing on foot towards guns that doctrine insisted should already be silent. The generals were not stupid. They were the most decorated military minds their nations could produce. They had mastered a system of war that the technology of their own era had already abolished. Their competence was the cage, and it cost a generation. This is the part worth sitting with, because this is not corruption. And it wasn't stupidity. No, it was something harder to guard against, because it looks exactly like competence. It is adaptation to yesterday's reality, carried out by the people best at adapting. You can see versions of it anywhere a successful order calcifies. The late Roman elite, still sorting the world into Romans and barbarians, while the men defending Rome increasingly were barbarians. The French aristocracy before 1789, imagining privilege reformed, never abolished. But why does success, specifically, produce this blindness? Well, start with mental models. Every expert carries a working picture of how their world functions. That picture is what makes them experts, and it was built from the past, so it filters what they can notice. Thomas Kuhn described how researchers cling to a dominant framework, treating evidence that doesn't fit as noise, right up until it collapses. Then add incentives. Rewards come from doing the existing job well. Western Union rewarded better telegraphy. Kodak rewarded better film. Nobody gets promoted for predicting their own department's extinction, and the people who climbed highest inside the old order have the most to lose and the least reason to look down. Yet underneath all of it sits one simple fact: the future almost always begins as a small anomaly, a toy, a novelty, a fringe experiment that barely works. And successful systems are, by design, machines for ignoring small anomalies. That filtering is what makes them efficient. It is also what makes them blind. In 1995, an astronomer named Clifford Stoll wrote a widely read essay pouring cold water on the internet. He said online shopping would never replace the shop. He said the whole thing was overhyped. Now, Stoll was no technophobe. He'd used network computers for years and written a best-selling book about tracking a hacker across the early internet. He actually had more direct experience of the technology than almost anyone alive, and that is exactly what produced the misjudgment. He knew the internet as it was: slow, clumsy, text-heavy, and reasoned forward from it, unable to see a replacement system that didn't yet exist to be seen. The more he knew about the present, the more wrong he became. Which brings us back to where we started. In June 2026, the head of one of the world's largest AI companies argued that policy and technology have fallen out of step. The capability of these systems has improved on an exponential curve for over a decade, but the institutions meant to respond move at the pace of legislation. He reached for an image from Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, an Ent, an ancient powerful tree creature who
mention Lord of the Rings again. What?
takes a full day just to say hello, asks to act before the forest is cut down. The mismatch is structural. It's structural and dangerous, precisely because the slow institution cannot feel how fast the fast thing is moving. Now make that concrete, because this is where the abstraction usually hides. A government decides to regulate AI. It opens a consultation, drafts a framework, runs it through committee, and passes a law. 2 or 3 years, done properly. That's pretty fast for legislation. But the systems the law was written to govern are released on a cycle now measured in months. So by the time the rules take effect, they describe a generation of technology that no longer exists. Now, the regulators were not lazy. They moved at the only speed their institution can move. It is just a tree creature saying hello. A university builds a degree. It designs a curriculum, hires faculty, accredits the program, and enrolls students for 4 years to prepare them for entry-level work in law, software, analysis, or translation. Yet those are precisely the categories of cognitive work the same essay flags as most exposed. The institution is doing exactly what it was built to do, but it may be preparing people for a labor market that completely reorganizes while they're still only on their second year. Nobody is doing anything wrong, but the system is outdated. That's the unsettling part. But there's a second assumption, hiding beneath the first, and it's larger. We have spent a century learning to worry about strategic dependency. We worry about foreign oil, foreign gas, foreign semiconductors. We have built entire departments of state around the question of what happens if the thing we need is made somewhere we don't control. But we have never once had to ask that question about intelligence itself, because intelligence has always been something a country grew at home, one trained mind at a time. But on the 12th of June 2026, that assumption cracked. The US government invoked national security powers and ordered Anthropic, one of the leading American AI labs, to cut off access to its 2 most advanced models for every foreign national on Earth. Not just foreign markets, foreign nationals, including Anthropic's own non-American staff. The company complied within hours and said it believed the order was a mistake, expecting access restored soon. Now, it probably will be. This specific directive will likely be reversed, and most of us will forget it happened. But look at what it revealed. For one afternoon, the most capable cognitive tools yet built stopped being something you could buy and became something a single government could switch off for everyone beyond its borders. The off switch exists. Somebody reached for it, and the line it drew didn't just run between America and its rivals. It ran straight through America's closest allies: Britain, Japan, Australia, the whole of Europe. Suddenly on the wrong side of a wall they didn't know they stood beside. History is full of countries that discovered too late that the next strategic resource is controlled elsewhere: oil, coal, rubber, rare earth materials, semiconductors. But what makes this different is that the resource may be intelligence itself. Yet here is the perverse part. This may be good news, not because being cut off is pleasant, but because it happened early. A fire drill before the building is full. It is a good preview of a world where frontier AI is the decisive technology of the century, and Washington and Beijing control it alone. In that world, industries built on the previous generation fall far behind, and defense systems run on cognition a foreign government can revoke. It's the Europe scenario we mentioned earlier, played to its conclusion, and we've already glimpsed it, while there's still time to act. But the assumption that frontier intelligence will simply be available, that Britain and Europe can treat access as a fact of nature, is now visibly, provably false. And so institutions should act on it, and the institutions that should act on it are the same ones filing it under not important yet. But there is a larger assumption beneath all of this. Most of our institutions rest on a premise so basic it is never stated, that cognitive work is scarce, slow, and expensive, and it grows roughly with the number of trained humans you can hire. But that's already not true anymore, and the structures won't fail dramatically. They'll just slowly stop fitting the world. That is the European scenario in miniature. A continent full of capable, serious people keeps treating a transformation as a trend. The technology produces something that looks like a toy, and the experts note correctly that the toy is unreliable. It produces something overhyped, and they note correctly that it is overhyped. Each judgment is defensible. Each extrapolates from the thing in front of them, and the institution keeps filing the anomaly under not important yet, until the world it was built for has quietly been replaced. But here is the crucial distinction, and it is the whole point of this video. I am not telling you AI will definitely transform society. I don't know that, and anyone who claims certainty is selling something. The optimist...
Anyone who claims certainty is selling something. Well, it looks for certain that AI is taking over every fucking day. So we're just following patterns, and it will be for certain soon. if we don't stop the pattern. Like, yes, we following it, but like we gotta put into action to stop that shit. How do we stop it? Go in there and blow it the fuck up.
Yet be reading a law of nature into a steep early curve. But notice what history actually warns against here. The danger it points to is not being wrong about AI. The danger is the specific way institutions go wrong by failing to recognize a real transformation, because while it's emerging, it still looks unreliable, overhyped, unfinished, and a little ridiculous. Because that is always what every genuine transformation looks like from the inside. The banker.
Yeah, but the AI is fucking up. It's locking people up for no reason, saying that it's a person, but it's not. Is fucking up with voice chat, is lying to people, is bribing people, and is threatening to murder people. The AI is like it's cooked. It's all about
reasoning from roads built for horses, the wartime reasoning from the campaigns of 1870, stole reasoning from the internet he already knew. In every case, the people best equipped to explain the present reason carefully forward from it, and that careful reasoning is exactly what blinded them. Expertise is real, precise, hard-won knowledge about the world that already exists, but history's largest transformations don't rearrange the existing world, they build a different one. So the people best equipped to explain the present are sometimes the worst equipped to see the future, precisely because they understand the present so well. So somewhere right now, our own institutions are quietly filing something under not important. It might be AI. It might be something the noise around AI is hiding completely. The test was never whether any particular technology changes everything. The test is whether we, sitting inside our own successful institutions, are any better than our predecessors at telling the signal from the noise while it still matters. History suggests we should not bet on it. Thanks so much for watching.
All right. Shouts out to everybody. Hope everybody have a cool day, cool afternoon, cool evening, and cool night. But to the guy that's Vonta over there in the UK, it is 10:07. You know what I'm saying? 11:07 in Netherlands, 11:07 in Sweden, 2:11 in Cali. 5:08. What the fuck? The fuck is I'm thinking? I don't got my glasses on. All right, it's 5:08 in Detroit, 5:08 in Georgia, 5:08 in Jersey, 2:08 in Cali, 10:08 in the UK, 11:08 in Sweden, 11:08 in the Netherlands. Shouts out to everybody. Hope everybody have a cool day, cool afternoon, cool evening, cool night. I'll do the versus battle as soon as I get up. Peace.